dance and I don't feel alone. I wanna go to the sea again.
Merry meet everybody. Welcome to All About Aphrodite, the second installment of this series. And today I'd like to cover two categories regarding the goddess Aphrodite, and they are animal correspondences as well as plant and herb correspondences. I'm going to do my best to keep this short, and if you see me looking off into the distance, it's because I actually have my camera right in front of my computer where I have some of my notations taken down, and that's just to help me stay on track. Now, there is a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 categories of animals that correspond with the goddess Aphrodite, the first being the dolphin. And from what I understand, the dolphin is representative of spiritual and metaphysical knowledge. And then I also have otherworldliness, love, balance, community, and resurrection as key words that coincide with the symbol of the dolphin. And that, I feel, kind of goes along with the goddess Aphrodite in that, she is a sea goddess. And as far as otherworldliness, then of course you're talking about the heavens, you're talking about deity, so that just, stands to reason. So then you get with fish and shellfish rather. And these are symbolic of fertility, femininity, prosperity, and again, transformation. She is a fertility goddess, and she is largely represented as a sea deity, a deity of water, a deity of the oceans, whether they be fresh water or salt water. Then you get into birds, and this category actually has some subcategories as far as the different birds that correlate with the goddess Aphrodite. The first and most popular seems to be the dove, which is representative of love, devotion, holiness, and of maternity, as well as a messenger. And that's why that dove is also pretty commonly found in the Christian faith as representative of those same things. Then you get to the goose as far as its association with the goddess Aphrodite, and the goose regards new beginnings, bravery, again, fertility, guidance, stability, loyalty, protection, parenthood, fellowship, community, joy, and happiness. And when it comes to prosperity, as far as the goddess Aphrodite is concerned, that doesn't just have to do with financial prosperity. It can also have everything to do with joy and happiness. When you prosper, you have those. You tend to be happy and you tend to be joyful. So that is a correspondence with the goddess Aphrodite. Then you have the swan, which is very similar to the goose, but it's not the same exact thing. It represents love, beauty, balance, and transformation. So you have the love, the fertility, the prosperity as a common association with the goddess Aphrodite. So animals that are also associated with these things tend to be associated with her as well. For example, the rabbit and the hare, this is definitely a sign of fertility, even in the pagan and Christian religions. In the pagan religion, you have the rabbit and the hare representative of love, luck, rebirth, family, and esoteric knowledge. And that is also celebrated in the Christian faith in the form of the Easter bunny. So that's why that particular symbol is a fertile symbol of spring. Then you have the goat or the ram, which is balance, virility, aloofness, kind of like a cat, kind of hard to get a little bit. And then you also have nurturing, independence, and protection. Protection is also a very common thing associated with the goddess Aphrodite and some of these other animals that I'm bringing up. Last but not least, actually I have two other animals to talk about. One is the turtle, and this is associated with femininity, creation, patience, strength, stability, as well as endurance and, again, protection. So again, as I'm sure you can kind of see some of these common themes, some of these same words coming up over and over again. And then last but not least, there's the horse. Specifically, the white horse tends to be associated with the goddess Aphrodite. And when it comes to the horse, it symbolizes power, endurance, faithfulness, freedom, cooperation, friendship, astral travel, increased clairvoyance, and interspecies communication. And with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pause this video because I hear my children screaming and I need to investigate. So I will be right back. Sorry about that, guys. Had to make sure that nobody was bleeding, had any broken bones, wasn't dying, or, already dead. So everything is good to go as far as my kids are concerned. So back to the subject matter. Now that we've covered the animals as far as correspondences with the goddess Aphrodite, I'd like to go ahead and start talking about some of the plants and herbs that I have found correspond with her as well. First plant is the Angelica, and that is a plant that has protective powers against evil. It is associated with the angels Michael and Gabriel, which particularly Gabriel has a lot of common and similar associations with the goddess Aphrodite. Then you have, as far as the Angelica flower or root is concerned, you also have the fact that it is aligned with the sun and the element of fire, and it is sacred to Venus, which is the Roman name for the goddess Aphrodite. Next are apples, and I'm going to do this in alphabetical order. Apples are associated with love, fidelity, fertility, marriage, beauty, vanity, wisdom, the soul, the afterlife, and immortality. So you can see why that would be associated with Aphrodite. Cinnamon is for protection and healing, used in love spells and to make charms to draw love, happiness, and money. So because of its strong relation with love, you can see why that would also correspond with the goddess of love. There is the cypress, which is due to Cypress being the fabled birthplace of the goddess Aphrodite. Then there is the daisy. It's feminine in nature and resonates with the energy of Venus, or perhaps the sun and the element of water, all of which are associated with the goddess Aphrodite. A lot of goddesses are now considered to be moon goddesses, but originally when Aphrodite was worshipped, she was revered as a sun deity. And in Sparta, I know I mentioned this in a previous video, but in Sparta, she was actually considered a goddess of war rather than just a love goddess. So she is a many-layered deity. The next flower that I have here is the daffodil, which corresponds to the energy of the planet Venus and the element of water, rebirth, resurrection, renewal, and new beginnings, also related to Narcissus. As far as the mythos is concerned, he was a person that fell in love with his own image, and that is where the Narcissus flower, because I believe he passed by a lake, starving himself and denying himself of nutrition because he was so in love with his own image that he died by the riverside. And I believe that that's why the plant is said to grow by the river or by a lake or some other body of water. I'm not sure specifically what it is, but I'm sure that is a Google search away. So moving right along, there is the Damiania, the love herb. It is used to draw a new lover, to intensify sexual passion, or to bring back a straying lover. It is associated with Aphrodite's girdle, which in the stories being told regarding her girdle is that Hephaestus made it for her to make her that much more desirable than she already was to begin with, and that she even lent it to Hare so that she could wear it to keep Zeus from straying. So that's an interesting myth that you can also, is a Google search away. Dittany of Crete is fed to the one you love to promote desire, burned to bring a vision of your future mate, and also associated with the goddess Aphrodite. Driftwood combines the power of at least earth and water, but considered by some, myself included, to also be imbued with the power of wind and fire, as well associated with ocean magic and the sea witch. So I grabbed a piece of driftwood when I was at a beach in my area, and I was able to get a piece of driftwood right off of Driftwood Beach, and it was a tree that had fallen over, and underneath the stump were, some of its roots. So I was able to get my wand. Hold on just a second, I'll show it to you. But I was able to get my wand from the beach, and I plan on, working with it, maybe sanding it down and fashioning it and decorating it and just imbuing it with my intention and making it just that much more personal for me. But this is my wand. It's not exactly what you would consider the traditional length, which I believe is, from your elbow to the tip of your finger. So it kind of doesn't go all the way up there, but it feels right to me. When I pulled it off, I held it in my hand, and I was just like, you know what, this is for me. I like it a lot, and I feel very connected to the sea with the goddess Aphrodite or Atabe or whatever other names that she has in different cultures and traditions. I know a lot of people tend to want to keep their deity from their culture separate from deities that have very strong correlations with their deity, and I can certainly respect that. But I'm of the mind that we all worship and live under one deity. We just so happen to, see that deity differently because we all have different eyes and different ways of thinking. So of course the deity is going to communicate with us differently, hence all the different religions that there are out there. But this is the path that I feel like I need to be on. So this is why it felt right to me to have a driftwood wand. Sorry about that, guys. That was my daughter coming in to complain about my son. But moving right along, there is also the Gingko, which is an aphrodisiac. So it is best used for psychic awareness. Gingko is also used in any form of mental-based spells and magic, protection, healing, and purification. So it's not just an aphrodisiac. It does have other purposes. Then you have iris, or what is also known as orris root, which is a powdered hoodoo root that's used for attraction and love. There's the jasmine that's said to aid in the reception of psychic dreams and to enhance the power of love herb mixtures. The lily, which is symbolic of fertility, rebirth, renewal, and abundance. Lettuce, which was said to have been sacred to Aphrodite, for she lay the dead body of Adonis in a bed of lettuce. There's also the lotus, which is used in lunar magical workings for love and for protection. There's the magnolia, which is placed under the mattress for marital happiness, fidelity, and mutual sexual attraction. So a lot of the times that is something that is recommended for couples, is to put some magnolia underneath their bed. There is myrtle, which is sacred to the Greek goddess Venus and has been used in love charms and spells throughout history. There's the narcissus flower, which is inner peace, hope, and of course, self-love. The pennyroyal, which you need to be careful because it is said that the pennyroyal is toxic to cats. So if you do have it growing, you might want to put it like in a hanging planter outside, or if you would rather just keep it inside if you happen to have a cat that's indoor, then of course you might want to consider maybe placing it in a jar or something after you've gotten it grown to, dry it, stick it in a jar, and keep it that way. That way it is safe for your feline friends. But its uses include peace and tranquility, and it is considered a Venus herb. Purslane, I believe is how it's pronounced, has the planetary association of the moon, the gender being feminine, the element being water, and its magical uses are sleep, love, luck, protection, and happiness. You have the pomegranate for prosperity, protection, fertility, conception, wisdom. It symbolized female fertility and marital loss of virginity with the consummation of marriage for both its red stains and its rich seeds. So that's, a lot of times you'll see the goddess Aphrodite either depicted with an apple or a pomegranate. The apple more commonly associated with, the marital aspect as far as Aphrodite and Hera perhaps, whereas the pomegranate is more strongly associated with the goddess Aphrodite from what I can understand. You have the plant, the spikenard, a noted love herb mentioned in the Bible and often used in love spells, love oils, and incenses. You have roses, which are representative of love, luck, friendship, protection. They're used to ward off evil and for good luck and love. They also are used to remove any kind of love jinxing someone has done to you. So if perhaps somebody jinxed you to make it so that you would have no luck in love, then you can perhaps use rose petals, if I'm understanding correctly, to kind of counteract that jinx. There is vanilla, which in magical folklore uses include love, lust, passion, and restoring lost energy. You have vervain. Sorry about that. That's I got a little pop-up telling me that my phone's about to die, so I need to hurry this up. But vervain resonates with the energy of Gemini, the planet Venus, and the element of water. Combined with any other herb in magical works, it's believed by some to enhance the action of these herbs. So if you really, 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 really needed some luck and love, then perhaps you would get some roses and then include vervain and combine those together to just amplify the effects of the roses. There is the violet, which is symbolic of death and rebirth. If you consider the story of Attis, which I won't go ahead and go into that in depth, you'll just have to go ahead and look that up via Google or Wikipedia or any other source that there is out there as far as the mythology goes. And I only mention Wikipedia for mythology simply because it does have link sources at the bottom. So even though Wikipedia isn't in itself considered a scholarly source, it does cite scholarly sources. So it is still something that you can use to get information and then to build on that information with further research. So last but not least, there is the Yarrow, which intensifies the work of other herbs and helps the body rid itself of toxins. So like vervain, you can use that to amplify the effects of the other herbs that I've mentioned in this video. I think I've spoken enough. I do apologize if it sounded very impersonal. I was reciting basically word for word exactly what I typed out in front of me, just to share that with you guys. And of course, any links that I feel are pertinent and that kind of supplement what I'm saying in this video, I'll go ahead and link to the description so that you guys can do your own research and come to your own conclusions, whether they are aligned with mine or not. And if they're not aligned with mine, then certainly leave me a comment. Tell me what your opinion is. I love hearing other people's opinions. I love hearing other people's perspectives. A lot of the time, someone might say something that I may not necessarily agree with at first, and then I do my research and realize, you know what? I can see their point of view. It may not necessarily mean that I'll adopt their point of view, but at least my mind is open to that. So, and if you agree, of course, leave a comment as well. I don't only want comments from people who disagree. I would love to hear from people who agree with me and why. So that's all for now. I hope you guys enjoy this and the previous video that I made. If you guys have any suggestions, then of course leave that in a comment as well. You can also email me. You can go to the About section of my channel and get my email address and communicate with me that way. So that's all for now. I hope you guys are having a great day so far, and merry part and blessed be.